Obviously, being someone that is both fat and fit, I had to respond to this video. Sorry if I jiggle around a bit. I'm currently 9 months pregnant and I'm on my birthing ball because it's the only place that I'm comfortable. These Jubilee videos are always quite controversial, but the cast on this one take it to another level. There's a couple of creators that I recognise and a couple of people that I don't. I haven't watched this video the whole way through yet. I'm going to watch it as we go, and I hope there's at least some relevant, interesting points.
I have felt disgusted looking at a fat body.
Feels compelled to start us off.
Well, it's unacceptable to be fat.
So we start off with this dude called Myron, who is a dick, quite clearly. He's from the Fresh and Fit podcast, and I know he's not a very nice man. Obviously, they've got him on there to be controversial, and Greg Doucette is also on there. I am not a fan of his content at all. He doesn't have a lot of compassion for people, and I don't really like how he screams at the camera. Our first question is, I have felt disgusted looking at a fat body, and Zach also steps forward. Now, I follow Zach on Instagram, and I'm a massive fan of his content. I'm quite familiar with everything that he does, and he has quite a similar story to me, where he struggled with an ED or disordered eating behaviours and has been in lots of different sized bodies, and he has settled in a larger body, still pursuing healthy habits and exercising regularly, and he's quite a compassionate, nice man. So I'm excited to hear what he has to say.
I know why you say that. Do you know why you're saying that?
Yes, because I've been fat before and I lost the weight.
Well, me too. I've been fat my whole life. I've been way skinnier than I am now, and I've been way heavier than I am now. Was I less valuable at one point in there?
Well, I mean, you can make an argument that you're less valuable when you're fatter because you drain resources, but that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, I mean, in general, being fat is unacceptable because you control every single morsel of food that goes into your mouth.
Okay.
It shows a lack of discipline, it shows a lack of character, it shows a lack of temperance, and when you're fat, it's an outward manifestation of your inadequacies.
Of course, Myron is the first one to talk and just comes up with straight out blatant fat phobia. This is the kind of stuff that we're taught our whole lives, that fat people are less valuable. A lot of the media in the 2000s and 90s was directed at people in larger bodies or people with stuff like cellulite, which is completely normal. Like, you can see the headlines and everything has conditioned us into feeling like it's not okay to be fat. And then it's like the worst thing in the world. There are so many worse things than being fat, but there is so much hate out there for fat people, and that's what Zach was hitting on when he's like, do you know why you're saying that? But obviously the point went over Myron's head. I think he was looking for like the deep down reason, not just the personal account of, well, I lost weight, so everybody should, which just lacks compassion and understanding, as usual when we have this kind of conversation.
When I see somebody who's 500 or 600 pounds, all I can think of is, why do they care so little about their health that they can do this, allow themselves to gain that much weight, knowing it's taken 20, 30, 40 years off their life? I just can't imagine not wanting to live that badly.
Greg's comment here really pisses me off. Being somebody that has struggled with mental health, saying, I can't imagine not wanting to live that badly. All that's saying is that he hasn't experienced severe mental health. I have been in a far larger body and I didn't care about getting fatter because I wanted to unalive myself. I had severe mental health issues. Food was something that I used to numb and cope, and my imminent death by my plans that I had made were gonna come a lot sooner than death from being in a larger body. And yes, at that point I was really unhealthy. Like, a lot of my habits were super unhealthy. I was basically just living off cheesy pasta and chocolate, and I wasn't exercising at all, and I didn't care about my health. I didn't care about anything. Again, like, his point there just shows lack of compassion. It doesn't prove anything about fat people. It doesn't prove anything about this debate. It's just like, I don't understand. That's all he's really saying with that comment is, I don't get how people get there. Like, cool, maybe if you don't understand it, then your opinion isn't that relevant.
I've definitely felt disgusted looking at my own body and looking at other fat bodies in my life. A lot of the disgust I felt looking at people was me feeling disgusted with myself and then projecting that feeling onto other people. And I don't think anyone on either side will disagree that health is important. I know that my own mental health was way worse when I was spending every fixate of my life trying to get smaller and trying to be thinner.
Zach points out that his mental health was way worse when he was trying to get smaller every second of his life, and that's something that I massively relate to. Mentally, I'm the most healthy now in the last couple of years than I have ever been in my whole entire life, and a lot of that is accredited to the fact that I exercise now and that I have tools in my life to manage my mental health, but also the fact that I'm not constantly trying to shrink my body and constantly shaming myself to be thinner.
Unfortunately, some people have emotional stuff that happened, traumatic stuff that's happened, so you can't discount and just say, oh, because they're fat.
Boo-hoo, man. Like, there's way worse stuff going out in the world versus people saying, oh my God, I'm sad, I'm gonna eat some ice cream. It's like, no, dude, it's like, you're fat, you made that decision.
Ugh, this Myron guy. He's so ridiculous. He's clearly just a first-class douche bucket. You can't just dismiss mental health like it doesn't mean anything. That whole like boohoo, other people have it worse is such a dick move. It's dismissive, and as soon as anybody says anything like that, I'm like, I literally want nothing to do with you. Like, your opinion means absolutely nothing. It just shows a lack of understanding and a lack of compassion and a lack of caring about other people. Mental health is not something that you control. So my ED is the one that I'm going to put on the screen, and it has a binge eating component. Now, in a binge eating episode, often you go into this trance-like state, and this can be for a couple of hours, if not more. You might find yourself going to the supermarket and uncontrollably buying loads of food and then going home, or even just getting in your car and eating it on the way home. You're not like present in your body when this is happening. And people use lots of different numbing behaviours to cope with trauma or emotional distress they're feeling, and these are often automatic. Some people turn to alcohol and drugs, others turn to stuff like their phone, which is probably the best example I can give you. If you feel like you're addicted to your phone sometimes, and especially in times of stress, and you almost don't notice that you've picked up your phone and started scrolling and you feel like you can't get off it, that is what it's like, but times 100. And it takes a hell of a lot of work, and it's something that I'm still working on, to identify all of these numbing behaviours in your life that you're using to cope with the significant trauma that you've been through. And my life, as an example, has been very, very traumatic. And we just go to those behaviours to cope, and you need extensive amounts of therapy in order to stop doing that and find other coping skills. And often when somebody just tries to stop doing that behaviour, they replace it with something else, and often that can be something that is more harmful. So dismissing it altogether just because you don't get it is just a dick move. But did we really expect anything more from this guy? It's the same as saying to a diabetic, oh boo-hoo, like just raise your blood sugar. Like, because I don't struggle with that, I don't understand why you can't struggle with that. They can't control it. It's the same thing.
You deserve to be bullied. No, we need to bring shaming back.
Okay.
We need to bring shaming back in so many other regards besides obesity.
You deserve to be bullied, and we need to bring shaming back is... He clearly doesn't know that body shaming actually leads to weight gain in a lot of cases, and there are loads of studies on this. I feel like he just doesn't have two brain cells to rub together, and often people that are like that just have so many opinions and are very vocal about it. And honestly, for the rest of this, his opinion is not relevant because he just doesn't get a lot of things. He's just spouting his random ridiculous opinions with no real backing. And this is a really good example of like the Dunning-Kruger effect. Like, the less knowledge they have, the more confident they are in their opinions. He is like the personification of that.
Okay, so the reason I disagreed, especially when I heard the statement, I don't think I'll ever look at somebody based on their situation and think that I'm disgusted. Like, if I see somebody that's a drug addict on the street that's homeless, I'm not disgusted by that. If I see somebody that's incredibly overweight, I'm not disgusted by that. Do I think that there's an opportunity for growth? Do I think they've been put in a disadvantageous position that's probably makes it harder for them? Absolutely. I think I'm kind of an empath, so when I see somebody, I know that there's things underlying, and one of my best friends is 400 plus pounds. I've helped him lose 150, 200 pounds. He's gained it back. And I don't look at him and say, I'm disgusted, but I know how bad he wants it. And just seeing how hard he tries and then reverts, it's almost more tough for me than to be like, oh, that's disgusting, you know?
Oh, I love this guy, Eric, already. See, this is the difference. He's a compassionate person. He understands how difficult it is for people, and he's not going to shame somebody for being the way that they are, or for existing in a larger body, or for struggling with certain things. And that we need more people like that in the world.
There's plenty of people that look at me and say, that's disgusting. I never want to look like that. So like, I know what it feels like on the other side to like look the way I do and get people look at me like, ugh, that's gross to like.
And he's also been body shamed. I've had this comment before as well. People saying, like, especially when I was like bulkier, like when I was doing CrossFit competitively, there was a woman that came into the gym and she was like, I want to do CrossFit, but I don't want to look like her. And looked at me with this grossed out face. Fit people also experience body shaming, and it's just not okay. It's not cool either way. Now, I'm sure this is going to piss a lot of people off. It's not something that I would ever admit out loud other than in this moment. And I want to point out that how I feel about other people's bodies literally doesn't matter, and I would never want to hurt somebody by expressing it, because my opinion on people's bodies is irrelevant. And I would never use the word disgusting. But I don't like the look of some people's bodies, and this probably stems from my own personal experiences and probably an obsession with different body types and conditioning, and hearing other people make comments on people's bodies. That has definitely had a big impact on how I feel about bodies generally, including my own. But I'm not a massive fan of like the bodybuilder type body. I have quite a visceral response. I can't watch the videos of like the shirtless men on TikTok doing recipes or talking about nutrition or in the shop shirtless. Like, why are they doing that? It's something about the really pumped up chest and really low body fat. It's just not for me. That doesn't mean I can go up to bodybuilders body shaming them because I don't personally like their body. Like I said, my opinion does not matter that much, and it's weird to me that other people think their opinions on other people's bodies really matters. As I've mentioned, I'm currently pregnant, and I have actually all my life had the same feeling about pregnant bodies. I've never looked at a pregnant body and thought that it was beautiful. Pregnancy generally really freaks me out, and I think a lot of it is to do with the body dysmorphia. I don't currently like how my body looks. I'm more on the side of body neutrality anyway, not body positivity. So I just see bodies as tools to live our life with. But I will admit, pregnant bodies do freak me out quite a bit. And I'm not currently pregnant because I thought I would love my pregnant body or because I thought I'd enjoy being pregnant. I'm pregnant because I wanted a child. And no matter how I feel about pregnant bodies, that does not mean that my opinion matters, and it doesn't mean that I can go up to pregnant women shaming them, or that I should shame myself for looking the way that I do, because the way my body looks doesn't matter. We can all have feelings about different body types and just keep them to ourselves so that we don't hurt people. It's not that hard.
You are passing judgment on people who lack the tools to do what it is that they need to do to get themselves to a certain point of health. There are multitudes of factors that weighs into what goes on with somebody's body. There are people that even if they work out, losing the weight does not come as simple as just going to the gym, cutting calories, watching everything that you eat. There are some people that have a disposition. I have a disposition. But does that mean that I'm not active? Does that mean that I'm not doing certain things? No, it doesn't. But you're passing judgment on somebody's body that you know nothing about.
So Tevin, the guy in the green suit, he points out that there are loads of different factors that influence weight gain, or the reasons people gain weight, or the reasons people can't lose weight. I've got a handy graphic that I'll put on the screen that demonstrates this. Poverty is actually one of the biggest factors that can cause weight gain, and there's also a massive link with different types of trauma as well. Myron's example of the fact that he intentionally got fat and then lost the weight is not an example to fat people of how they can do it, because he is naturally in a thinner body and he intentionally gained weight and then lost it. So he's not experiencing any of the things that fat people experience at all. He's just manipulating his body image in order to prove a point that he didn't actually prove.
The question is, why do you hate fat people, that you feel the disgust towards it?
Well, like I said before, it's a culmination of a bunch of bad decisions. I'm not gonna go ahead and give the same level of respect to someone who's a fat ass to someone that has worked really hard and diligently on their physique, because your body's outward manifestations,
There's more
of your decisions,
factors to a
your
human
consistency.
being than their body.
Zach is bang on here. There are more factors to a human being than their body. Myron, the fresh and fit guy, could be the most attractive, most shredded guy on the planet, and I still would rather be on another planet than him. He may think that he's like God's gift to Earth, but he is so unlikable and so repellent, and clearly gives no respect to other people that he thinks are below him. It's just madness. And I just find it so weird that you can judge people so harshly based on something as small and insignificant as their body.
Jacked men are more attractive than fat men.
How come there's 4 guys over there? All right, so we're living in a bizarro world where people don't see the truth.
So all of the jacked men walk forward, obviously. Maybe they find jacked men more attractive than fat men, fair enough. And obviously there are no women in this conversation, but we already know they're talking about women, and as a woman that knows many women, most women I know don't care about body fat percentage at all. And actually, physical looks is quite low on their list of why they like people. But most of the women I know wouldn't go for a guy that is like super jacked and shredded. They're more likely to go for guys that have a bit of body fat, live a relatively normal life, and don't obsess over food or the gym. And sure, there are women that are exceptions to this rule and will only date jacked men, I'm sure, but it's definitely not the majority. I saw this meme about Jack Black the other day, and it's so accurate.
Actually, you know what? This is precisely why a majority of women find a majority of men as unattractive.
That's true for all women?
A majority, a staggering majority of women.
There might be 1% of the world that there's something wrong with them, that might think that, yeah, you're 600 pounds, it's so hot, I love that, but...
The question was, are jacked men more attractive? We all walked over. Are we more attracted to jacked men?
Yeah,
I love Eric, he's so good. They're fresh and fit guys' opinions. He's just generalising about all women when he is not a woman. I don't know how Myron can sit there and say that he thinks it's all women that feel like that. What planet are you on, mate? Greg just seems to default to like 600-pound people all the time instead of considering the people that are like actually in the room with him, unless he assumes that people that aren't shredded and below 10% body fat are in fact 600 pounds, which is a comment that I get quite a lot. I don't know how much I weigh. I'm probably about 220, but a lot of the time I get people in my comments saying I'm like 400 pounds, which doesn't make sense. I think it's just part of the bias, but it's a weird comment to make because that isn't the question. And also we're considering like so many people fat nowadays. Like it's not comparing Greg to somebody that's 600 pounds. It's comparing jacked men to people that are in the normal average body. And certainly if that's what we're considering, I would say women especially, prefer men in average bodies. But mostly they go for stuff like personality over that anyway.
I have an interesting point. And no shade on you, but I think if you had Zach, right, you're on the end?
Yep.
If you put Zach and Greg and you put them next to each other and you did a poll, I think that most women would probably pick him if you had to like, because he's got the height and all that. What would you guys say to that?
No.
No. Well, we can put it to the test.
Yes, the point about Zach. So honestly, if you put Zach next to all of these men, most of the women I know, I would stand to guess the highest percentage of women would vote for Zach over these other men. And that isn't just because of his height, it's because of his compassion, the way he carries himself. It's also because he's not super shredded and he doesn't have all of the opinions that come with these super shredded, angry men. And the reason I know this is if you go to Zach's comment section, you will see hordes and hordes of women absolutely thirsty for Zach, and you don't see that on like shredded gym guys pages. And this is something that I've been pointing out to my partner. It's quite funny. And he started to realise that as well. Like a lot of the shirtless men on Instagram and TikTok seem to attract lots of other men. And then I'll show him some reels from like other people, the people in average bodies or with a higher level of body fat. And often their comments are flooded with very thirsty women. But it is a lie that a lot of men are told. Super jacked, shredded body types are exactly what women want. And that is actually more like the male gaze and the male power fantasy that we see threaded throughout our media.
Because I've been so surprised to see on Instagram, there'll be like guys doing like an outfit try on, like not in shape in the slightest bit, and all the comments are women like, I wish like men knew this is how we wish they looked, and like, oh, this is like the dream.
Liars media.
Liars for
to look good.
One thing
for
about
clout.
you can never believe what women say, man.
Correct.
You believe how they behave, not what they say.
That's a different episode.
Yes, Eric actually listening to women and like observing what goes on in the comments, and then Myron just completely dismissing everything that women could possibly say because they lie. The only way that I could think that he could possibly believe this is that maybe he spends his time in like clubs and bars and he's just trying to take women home, and like that's the actions that he's talking about. But if we actually look at like who women marry, start families with, or even just choose to be in relationships with, it's not guys like him. It's probably more like guys like Zach, people in average bodies, people in all types of bodies. And Eric is so right. There's loads of men's fashion pages that I see pop up on my feed quite a lot, and these are fat men, chunky men with muscles and body fat, skinny men, short men, loads of different types of guys, and their comment sections are flooded. But as I've said before, often with the big bodybuilder jacked shredded guys, they don't get the same treatment. There isn't all of these women in their comment section telling them how amazing they look. So points to Eric for being observant and actually listening to women.
I disagreed mostly just with the blanket statement because attraction is so subjective. I am a big and tall model by trade. That's what I do. I model clothing brands. I've modeled with major fashion houses. I've been on the covers of magazines. You mentioned before dad bod comments and whatnot and on social media. I was flabbergasted when I started how many people were commenting and DMing me and talking about how attractive I was. That it just kind of, I don't know, showed me that attraction is a lot more subjective than I thought, and people have a much wider range of what they find attractive than specifically a body type.
Zach is so right, and obviously he talks about his comment section here, and attractiveness is subjective, and I think it's like a double-edged sword of men going on podcasts saying that they know what women want and they're 6 foot with a six-pack and 6-figure income, and just constantly going out there and telling everybody that's what all women find attractive, when it's just not. And then the other side of this is attractiveness is subjective and people find lots of different things attractive. And that's where the assumption is kind of born from. But Zach is a case in point.
I don't think it's as subjective as guys are trying to say. Attraction isn't a choice, and there are hardwired traits that women look for in men. And what I've come to realize is that what women put out there as what they find attractive are politically correct things. Oh, he has a dad bod, he's nice, he's a good guy. The reality is that women don't respond well and favorably to these men.
Myron basically goes on a massive rant about what women want and how they lie about what they want and how they marry people that they're not actually attracted to. Basically, denial, denial, denial. Because he is in denial and doesn't understand women and doesn't know what they want. I'm just going to skip over all of that. If you really want to watch it, go back and watch the video. It is a whole hour long. And a lot of this section is just Myron talking about what he thinks women want. When all the other guys are like, well, I'm married to a woman. Like, loads of people I know that look like me are married. Like, again, just dismiss his opinion, I think.
Body positivity movement is problematic.
Obviously, you should be comfortable in your body, and if you genuinely love how you look, great, but you can't ignore your health. Being someone who is overweight, I've been fortunate enough not to have any extreme complications other than, like, knee pain and stuff like that. But I know people that, that are my size or bigger, and they have cholesterol problems, heart problems, diabetes. I have none of that. So the body positivity movement becomes a problem when you hide behind this shield of, oh, I should love my body, da 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 da. Great, but you have to be healthy too. You can't ignore your vitals. You gotta check yourself on the inside.
So Rich makes the point that you can't ignore your health and that is a problem with the body positivity movement. For me, I'm more, as I've said, in the body neutrality space. And one of the biggest things that I care about is my health. And there are several studies out there now showing that your health can actually be impacted more by healthy habits than your BMI. So even if you have a BMI over 30, if you have 4 or more healthy habits, then you have a lower all-cause mortality rate than somebody that only has 2 healthy habits. And this includes stuff like smoking, drinking, exercising, all of the things that impact health that you would either do or not do in order to be healthy. Of course, and like Greg always likes to talk about people on the really far end of the spectrum, people that are 600 pounds, there are loads of health implications that can come with that, but they are also not pursuing healthy habits. They are unable to be active at that weight. It's likely if somebody has got to that weight, they've got a very troubled and difficult relationship with food. But the bottom line for me is that other people's health is really none of our business, and if somebody wants to abuse their health in any way, shape or form, whether they're in a larger body or not, that is up to them. And there are plenty of people in smaller bodies that do awful things to their health. And that also includes bodybuilders taking tons of steroids, or party goers taking lots of party drugs, or people binge drinking every single weekend. There are loads of damaging things that people do to their health every day, and that is not any of our business other than theirs. That's where I stand on it anyway.
People feel confident in their own skin. I think body positivity movement has been beneficial for plus size people in that regard, right? Because let's say there's a plus size person who's too embarrassed to go to the gym because they feel like they're gonna be judged, whatever it is. But it's because of body positivity, they're like, oh, hey, I see other plus size people in the gym, maybe I'm gonna give it a try. And all of a sudden they start going, they're like, oh man, I like this, right? And they keep it going. You can argue that without body positivity, maybe that day would have never happened for that person, right?
Tyler makes a really good point that the body positivity movement has helped plus size people feel more confident in going to the gym and pursuing exercise. And that's definitely a really great thing that's come from the movement.
And so as soon as you start telling people, hey, just love your body, like Lizzo will literally rub her belly and said, you're giving me all this power as she's eating a burger and she's promoting being obese. By doing this, you're just ruining it for people who actually should think, wait a minute, I can lose weight, I can go to the gym, I can eat less, I can do this.
I massively disagree with Greg saying that Lizzo loving her body, rubbing her belly and eating a burger is promoting being obese. She's not saying you need to look like me, you should eat a burger. She is just loving her body in the same way that a bodybuilder posing for a competition is loving his or her body. We are not promoting anything just by existing. It's just this weird assumption that fat people shouldn't like themselves, and that if they exist in the public eye, then it needs to be like crying on a treadmill, actively hating themselves. And I think Greg always intentionally misses that point.
I'm not saying there's not a single problem. To me, body positivity is more about bodily autonomy. Like you were mentioning wanting to lose weight. My whole thing is like, yeah, it's your body, do whatever you want with it. I don't think I, as a human being, have a right to tell any of you what to do with your bodies. Body positivity kind of comes in and go, okay, you as a human being have inherent value. Just in the fact that you are a conscious soul on this planet, you have an inherent value. You are within a vessel of your body that you do have control over, but at the same time, you're not less valuable to society or from the standpoint of the soul for what your body looks like.
Yes, I absolutely agree with Zach here. You have inherent value and it shouldn't be to do with the way your body looks or your body size. And I also think that everybody deserves respect. I don't understand why that is such a hard concept for people to grasp.
When I'm speaking about body positivity, I'm talking about the over acceptance and encouragement of being obese.
So I personally, again, I'm not super online, have not seen anybody pro-obesity ever.
Lizzo.
Oh, there's a bunch, dude.
She loves herself.
Avocado, avocado.
No, there's a big
They are
difference.
actively promoting obesity.
She's not telling anyone to get fat.
I love that he makes the dig that he's not super online, because clearly some of these are. But he's right about the Lizzo comment. That is not promoting obesity. It's just not a thing. And it isn't something that happens within the space. I'm also within the space. I see a lot of the content. Obviously, that's what my algorithm is based around most of the time. And I have never once seen somebody say, like, get fat, this is how you do it, this is what your body should look like. That is promoting a body type, and that's not something that I've seen.
She's showing you exactly how to do it and saying, look at my body as I love and rub it, it's giving me life, and she's like joking around.
Like, just saying that existing in a fat body means that you're promoting something it's so weird.
Just being in a fat body and being in the public space encourages obesity, just flat out?
Yes.
So just us existing, we're saying,
yes,
yay, everyone go gain weight?
It absolutely impacts other people to think, well, think of it, you're 6'6", good looking, you're modeling,
but
it's going to encourage other people to, well, hey, look at him, he's got
So then what about when I go to the gym? When I step into the gym, or when Zach steps into the gym, or when any of us step into the gym, are we promoting being bigger like that too? Are we going there, and is our presence there unwanted?
By being famous, rich, popular, and being obese, you're indirectly promoting it in the same way that people who take steroids and are 350 pounds of muscle and winning Mr. Olympia are indirectly promoting it, even if they don't say they're taking it.
But I'm speaking more specifically in the gym. And you made the statement that if we step out in public, that it would encourage people to live an unhealthy lifestyle.
The more friends you have who are
obese.
overweight, the more likely you're going to be overweight. It just happens to happen. I'm just telling you the truth. I'm not going to pretend it doesn't.
Yes, and I get so many comments as well that are very similar. Literally all my content is me in the gym, and people tell me that I'm promoting obesity when I'm in the gym. Like, it doesn't make sense.
I don't think any of us have ever looked at a person heavier than ourselves and gone, I want to be that. That's a great thing to be. No, he was bringing up the gym before, and you said by existing just in a fat body, we are promoting it.
Yes.
I model, and when I do model fitness wear, which I do often, I get so many comments about like, oh, you are promoting obesity. I'm wearing fitness wear. I'm in the gym. I'm doing the thing you want me to do, and I'm still promoting obesity?
For me, in this video, with the exception of Eric, all of the guys on the fat side have more compassion and empathy, more understanding, better formed opinions on this debate than the people on the jacked side. Eric has quite a good understanding of different struggles that people go through and what would result in somebody gaining weight, and he also has compassion for people in larger bodies. But Greg intentionally repeatedly misses points, and also points out later on that for 10 years he abused his body with steroids, yet feels like he has the freedom to pass judgment and openly shame people in larger bodies. And Myron from the Fresh and Fit podcast just tries to dominate the conversation with comments about what women want without actually being educated about what women find attractive. He's just formed this opinion without any sound backing that people of a certain body type are more attractive to women, and that's one of the main reasons why he doesn't like fat people. And then on top of that, he openly admits to not having any respect for fat people at all. Unfortunately, people like Greg and Myron and other people on the fit side contribute to the problem of body shaming fat people, which causes people to gain weight, causes shame around your body, and makes people feel embarrassed about going to the gym. I personally think that everybody should have access to health and fitness, no matter what size body that they're in, and I don't think other people's health are any of our business, but I do think they should be allowed to exist in those spaces without being made to feel like we're promoting obesity. There are loads of examples of people that are both fat and fit, and all of their comment sections are constantly flooded with comments like you're promoting obesity, as are mine. If you'd like to see some examples of fat, fit people that are amazing and do some incredible sports, including a marathon runner with a 3-hour 37-minute time in an obese body, also with a 38 beats per minute heart rate, she's incredible, then watch this video next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.